Today we are going to discuss JavaScript. JavaScript is a lightweight, interpreted, or just-in-time compiled programming language with first-class functions. While it is most well known as a scriptal language for web pages, many non-browser environments also use it, such as Node.js, Apache, CouchDB, and Adobe Acrobat. JavaScript is a prototype-based, multi-program, single-threaded, dynamic language supporting object-oriented, imperative, and declarative functional programming styles. The standard for JavaScript is ECMAScript as of 2012. All modern browsers fully support ECMAScript 5.1. Older browsers support at least ECMAScript 3.0. On June 17, 2015, ECMA International published the sixth major version of ECMAScript, which is officially called ECMAScript 2015 and was initially referred to as ECMAScript 6 or ES6. Since then, ECMAScript standards are on yearly release cycles. Do not confuse JavaScript with the Java programming language. Both Java and JavaScript are registered trademarks of Oracle in the US and other countries. However, the two programming languages have very different syntax, semantic, and use. JavaScript frameworks are essential part of modern front-end web development, providing developers with proven tools for building scalable, interactive web applications. This module gives you some fundamental background knowledge about the client-side frameworks, work and how they fit into your toolset. Before moving towards JavaScript, let's discuss what is DHML, what is JavaScript, and how we can use it. DHML is to introduce dynamic behavior at the client side. DHML make it possible by using these technologies. DHML consists of XHTML, CSS, JavaScript, and document object model. HTML defines website content through semantic tags like headings, paragraph, list, tables, etc. And CSS defines rules or styles for presenting every aspect of an HTML document. Font, family size, background colors, positioning and layout of any object on the page. And JavaScript defines dynamic behavior, programming logic for interaction with the user to handle events. Let's move on to JavaScript. JavaScript is front-end scripting language. It's a client-side technology, simple and flexible, and it's powerful to manipulate the DOM. JavaScript allows interactivity such as implementing form validation, react to user actions like to handle keys, changing an image on moving mouse over it, section of a page appearing and disappearing, content loading and changing dynamically, performing complex calculations, and custom HTML controls, that is scrollable table, implementing Ajax functionality. JavaScript can also handle events, can read, write HTML elements and modify the DOM tree, can validate form data, can access, modify browser cookies, and JavaScript can also detect the user's browser and operating system. It can also be used as an object-oriented language. JavaScript can handle exception and can perform Ajax. This is the first example of JavaScript. The name of the file is firstscript.html. You can name it with any user-defined text by keeping naming rules intact. The root element, that is HTML, and then you need to write body element. In the body element you can write script element. In script element we have type attribute. The value of MIME type that defines the type of MIME is text JavaScript. Instead of text CSS, we have already used in CSS code. On the next line is alert. Alert is a built-in function which is used to display this pop-up message on the screen when the page loads, and script element can be closed with /. Let's see output of this example in browser. This is the first example of JavaScript. The extension of the file is .html. Just open this file and it will show, this page says hello JavaScript. This is alert box we have defined in our source code. You can view page source by simply right click on the browser window and you can see the code. Alert hello JavaScript. This will display the pop-up message on the screen, but you cannot modify your source code in browser. If you want to modify this code, you have to open this file in any of your favorite editors. You can open this file in Notepad, Notepad++, Visual Code Editor. I will open this file in Notepad++. Here you can see the output of the source code. This code can be modified and can be reused. That was the first example of JavaScript. Another small example. In this example, the name of the file is smallexample.html. The method of writing JavaScript is same. You have defined JavaScript in script tag, and this is built-in method document.write. This method will display the message in browser window. It will not show us the alert box. It will show the message in browser window JavaScript rules. To see the output of this file, just copy this code and rename this file as small example or whatever you like. Open this file with Notepad++ and paste your code here. Now you can see the output. JavaScript rules. How we can use JavaScript code? The JavaScript code can be placed in script tag in the head or in the body. But using script tag in the body is not recommended. So if you want to use JavaScript in your HTML file, then it is recommended that you should write your code in head element, head section. The another way to link JavaScript with HTML is by using external file linked via script tag add tag in the head section. The files we will use has .js extension. You can attach this file, any file with .js extension with this script src script.js. Scripts is the name of the file, and type text JavaScript is the MIME type. This is the comment. Code placed here will not be executed. You can type any code or comment here. Linking external file with your HTML file is highly recommended. This method should be adopted while coding for a web page because .js files get cached by the browser. That's why the page will load faster than using your JavaScript code in head or body section. JavaScript when is executed, JavaScript code is executed during the page loading or when the browser fires an event. All statements are executed at page loading. Some statements just define functions that can be called later. Function calls or code can be attached as event handlers via tag attributes and executed when the event is fired by the browser. Like if we want to use image tag img src logo.gif on click is the event name. When you click on this image, it will display clicked in alert box. Calling a JavaScript function from EventHandler example. This is image on click .html is the file name. Here is the code, script type, text, JavaScript function. This is where we have defined the function. Function is a keyword, test is user defined, message is the parameter, and you're passing this parameter as argument to alert method which shows us a alert box. This function is called in body section on image tag img src logo.gif. On click, here we are calling this function. The name of the function is test, and we are passing argument clicked, and this argument will be passed to this function as parameter, and this message will be passed to alert and will be shown on alert box when we click on click me button. Let's execute this code. We have a file named as image on click.html, and another file that is logo.gif is also placed in the same folder. You can use any image button and these type of buttons can be searched from Google. Open this file and it will load the image file. Click on this button and it will show us clicked alert box. This is how you can use JavaScript on events. We are using on click event in this scenario. Now let's discuss external script files. We can use external script files to use JavaScript in our HTML web pages or our website. In this scenario, we have two files. The name of one file is external javascript.html. You can see this. And other file is sample.js. Sample.js contains the code we need for JavaScripting. We have defined a function named sample. Function sample, these are the small brackets, and after that function definition starts. Here we are displaying an alert box, alert hello from sample.js, and function definition is closed here. This is a separate file, sample.js. This is how you can create sample.js. It will show you the type of the file, that is JavaScript now. Now open this file in Notepad and type this code in JavaScript file. Now your JavaScript file is ready to be attached. The other file you need is external javascript.html. External JavaScript. Then modify this file with the code you need to use. Type this code in external JavaScript. This code will attach external.js file with this HTML file. The name of external file is sample.js. This is MIME type. It will tell the file is of JavaScript type. In the body section, on click, sample method will be called. And this sample method we have defined in JavaScript file. Let's execute this code. Click on external JavaScript code. And this function we have defined in sample.js, hello from sample.js. It should execute. You need to save this file. After saving, double click on this. On click hello from sample.js, and we have seen the output of the file by attaching an external file with your HTML web page. We have discussed how we can use JavaScript and how we can code JavaScript in our HTML files. We have discussed that JavaScript code can be placed in head or body section, but it is recommended to use JavaScript code in head section. The third way to attach JavaScript with your files is to use an external file with an extension of .js. with the extension of .js file. You can attach that file with your HTML web pages, and this method is highly recommended, and because in this method .js file is cached in the browser, that is why your code will execute faster as compared to other methods. Now let's discuss JavaScript syntax, how we can use syntax and semantics in JavaScript. The JavaScript syntax is similar to C# and Java. Operators are plus, multiplication sign, equal, not equal to, and increment operators. These are the operators we were using in C# and Java and even C++. Variable in JavaScript are typeless. We will discuss and see how we can use them. Whatever data type, whatever type of data you assign to a variable, it will become that type of variable. Like if you have a variable ABC and you assign an integer value to ABC variable, it will become an integer variable. If you assign a string value to ABC variable, it will become a string type of variable. In this way, you can change the type of variable at your own. Conditional statements, if-else statements, loops. We have loops, for loop and while loop, and we can use arrays, and we can write functions. Function variables are like the C# delegates. JavaScript data types are numbers, and number consists of integer, floating points, and other type of JavaScript data type is Boolean. A Boolean data type can have only true or false value. Another data type of JavaScript is string type. We can assign string of characters, like we have a variable my name. You can assign it this string. You can use both single or double quotes for strings. In arrays, we can use this type of structure. We can use different type of data in one assignment. Like we have an array, my array, and we are assigning integer value, floating point value, and a string value. Another type is associative array. They are also called hash tables. In associative arrays, we have key and value, a pair up. We have a key and its value. A is a key separated by colons and its value. B is a key and 3 is value. C is a key and text is value. In JavaScript, everything is object. Every variable can be considered as object. For example, string and arrays have member functions. We can use them. We have a variable and we have assigned a string to this variable, some string. This is a built-in method alert test7. It means test7. It means it will show letter R, because R is on 7th index. Then alert test dot character at 4. So it will show the character at 5th location. Then we have a built-in method test dot character at. Test is a variable name, and we can access its member function, that is character at 1, and it will show the letter E. But there is a difference between this test and this test. This test is a variable and its value is some string, but this test is itself a string. That is why E is from this test word, which is at first index. Zero index there is a T, and on one index we have E, and it will show E if you use method character at 1. If you mention value of 0 here, character at 0, it will show T. In this way you can use different built-in functions to manipulate your data. Then we have alert test dot substring 1 comma 3. It will show you a substring between 1 and 3, that is ES. The index of T is 0. It will start from 1, and this is 2, and T is 3. It will show the substring of test where the starting point is 1 and ending point is 3. Variable arrays equal to 1, 3, 4. If we want to find the length of array, we can use built-in function dot length. Array dot length, it will show 3 values. The length of array is 3. If you want to insert a value in array, you can use push method, built-in method, and array dot push 7, it means append 7 to end of array. It will append array after 4. Alert array 3, it will show third value, value at index number 3. Then what is the character at index 3? The index of 1 is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 7th is the value we just pushed in the array, and it will show at index 3. The plus operator joins strings. If you want to concatenate two strings, you can add plus operator between two string variables. Like if you want to join fat and cats, you can insert plus operator between string 1 and string 2, and it will show fat cats. What is 9 plus 9? If you have a string value of 9 plus integer value of 9, it will simply append 9 integer value with the string value. It will become 99. If you want to convert a data type to another data type, we have different built-in methods to convert them, like alert parse integer 9 string. It means it will convert string data type to integer plus 9. So the output of this method will be integer 9, 9 plus 9 integer, and both values are integer. That is why the output would be 18. We can perform operations and we can check the properties of arrays. How we can declare arrays in JavaScript. If you want to declare new empty array, this is the syntax to declare an empty array. Variable array is equal to new array. If you want to declare an array holding some values like this, you can declare an array with values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to append an element getting the last element, then you need to array.push. Push is a built-in method to insert values in the array at the end. And if you want to display values at the end of arrays, you can use pop method. It will show us the most recent value you have inserted in the array. Reading the number of elements, we can use array length, array.length property to check the length of an array. If you want to find elements index in the array, we have a built-in method array.index of 1, and it will show 0, that is the index of array. There are number of pop-up boxes we can use in JavaScript code to display. First, first of type is alert. Alert box appears with text and OK button. The syntax of alert is a keyword. In closed brackets we can type any message, some text here, and you can use this as a alert box. Then confirmation box. It contains text, OK button and cancel button. Confirm, are you sure? Then it will show this text, OK button and cancel button. The third type of alert box is a prompt box. It contains text input field with default value. Prompt enter amount, comma 10. Let's see output of these alert boxes. In this example, sum of numbers.html, we have head section. JavaScript demo is the title of this example. In the script tag, we have mentioned JavaScript MIME type, and this is the function calculate sum. Function is a keyword and calc sum is user defined. You can write any name of this function. Value 1 is a variable equal to parse int. It will convert value which will be passed to this method into integer. Parse int document.mainForm.textbox1.value. The value will come from main form, the name of form, the text box we have displayed on our web page, and the value it contains. In the same way, we will get the value 2. When we have values in value 1 and value 2, then we can add them into sum, a third variable. Now we want to show this answer to the user. Document.mainForm.textBoxSum.value, and it will show the sum. This is the body section. Here we have defined two input type text, two text field with name, text box 1 and text box 2, and third is a button to perform addition. It will call calc sum function on click, and input type text name text box sum. It will show the value. Sum of numbers. If we have, this is an example. Double click on this example and you will see one text field, another text field, and it will display the sum of these two numbers we just input in text field 1 and text field 2. This is the code for prompt. Prompt is an alert box with OK button, cancel button, and a default value with the message. Now let's discuss conditional statements. Conditional statements are required to filter some value. Like we have a unit price that is equal to 1.30. If quantity is greater than 100, then we have made decision the unit price will be 1.20. In this way we can filter our information and we can make decision in our code. In if-else statements we need expressions. We can use greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than or equal to or not equal to signs. The condition may be of Boolean or integer type. For example, variable a is equal to 0 and variable b is equal to true. If type of a, that is variable a, is equal to undefined, or type of b is equal to undefined. If both variables, if any of these two variables is undefined, it will show the message document.write variable a or b is undefined. Else, if any of these variable is defined, then this condition will be false. Then it will show message and we will write this expression else if not a and b. Document.write a equals 0, b true. Else, if this condition also fails, it will show a plus b is equal to the value of b. Next is switch statement. The switch statement works like in C#. If we want to avoid so many if-else statements, we can use a switch statement. Switch statement has simpler structure as compared to many if and else statements. In switch statements, we can evaluate our expression with number of cases. If that case matches, the code in that case will be executed. If none of cases match, then default message will be displayed. Like in C#, we have loops in JavaScript as well. We have for loop, while loop, and do while loop. In this example, we have a variable counter. For counter is equal to 0, counter less than 4, counter plus plus. For loop is used when we are certain that how many iteration we need in our code. Alert counter. It will show us a counter from 0 to the maximum value it will evaluate. Other loop is while loop. Counter is less than 5, it will show and it will pre-increment the counter before displaying it. Then we have functions. Functions are required to divide our bigger problems into smaller problems. We can structure the code, splitting code into parts. In functions, data comes in, processed, and results are returned. We can define any function with the keyword function, and we can name the function here. We can name function here. It is average in this case. You can type any name of your choice. This function has 3 parameters a, b, c. Variable total, declaring variable is optional, type is never declared. So we are declaring a total variable here in the function body, and we are assigning sum of a, b, and c to total, and it will return the average of these numbers. Total will be divided by 3 and it will return the average of these numbers. Function arguments and return value. Functions are not required to return a value. When calling function, it is not obligatory to specify all of its arguments. The function has access to all the arguments passed via arguments array. Like in this example, functions demo.html, function sum In the function definition, we have a variable sum that is initialized with the value of 0. We are using a for loop with initial value of 0. It will iterate until it reaches the length of arguments array, and it will sum all these arguments into sum, and it will return the sum. So we are passing 1 2 4 here. It will sum all these parameters, and it will display, and it will return sum into an alert box. Let's run this example. We have example named functions demo.html. Double click on this example and it will display 7, the sum of all the parameters we have passed to this function. Now we are going to discuss document object model. With the HTML document object model, JavaScript can access and change all the elements of an HTML document. When a web page is loaded, the browser creates a document object model of the page. The HTML document object model is constructed as a tree of objects, as you can see in this image. With the object model, JavaScript gets all the power it needs to create dynamic HTML. JavaScript can change all the HTML elements in the page. JavaScript can change all the HTML attributes in page. JavaScript can change all the CSS styles, existing HTML elements and attributes, HTML elements and attributes. JavaScript can react to all existing HTML events in the page. JavaScript can also create new HTML elements in the page. The document object model is a W3C World Wide Web Consortium standard. The document object model defines a standard for accessing document. The W3C document object model is a platform and language neutral interface that allows programs and scripts to dynamically access and update the content, structure, and style of a document. The W3C DOM standard is separated into 3 different parts: core DOM standard, model for all document types; XML DOM standard, model for all XML documents; HTML DOM standard, model for HTML documents. The HTML document object model is a standard object model and programming interface for HTML. It defines the HTML elements as objects, the properties of all HTML elements, the methods to access all HTML elements, the events for all HTML elements. In other words, the HTML document object model is a standard for how to get, change, add, or delete HTML elements. Every HTML element is accessible via the JavaScript document object model API. Most DOM objects can be manipulated by the programmer. The event model lets a document to react when the user does something on the page. The advantage of document object model is that it can create interactive pages, updates the objects of a page without reloading it. Let's discuss how we can access the elements in document object model. You can access any HTML elements in document object model in 3 ways. Number 1, access elements via their ID attribute. You can use, this is some ID that is given to any an element. If you want to get that element or value of that element, you need to initialize an variable ELEM, that is element, is equal to document is the top object in the document object model. In the hierarchy, as you can see, this is the document object, and all the objects like form, and under form all the controls of a form like text boxes, buttons, text fields are lower in hierarchy in document, form, and then these controls. So if you want to access any element, then you need to write this hierarchy. Document.getElement by ID is a method. Some ID is the name of ID. And you can also access any element via the name attributes. Document.getElement by name, some name, or via the tag name like image tags. E1.getElement by tag name, and the name of tag is img. It will returns array of descendant image elements of the element E1. This example will explain the document object model manipulation. Common element properties. Most of the properties are derived from the HTML attributes of the tag like ID, name, hrefs, alt, title, and source. Like style property allows modifying the CSS styles of the element. Corresponds to the inline style of the element. Note the properties derived from embedded or external CSS rule. For example, style.width, style.margin top, style.background image. Class name is the name of class attribute of the tag, where inner HTML holds all the entire HTML code inside the element. Read-only properties with information for the current element and its state. Tag name, offset width, offset height, scroll top, and node type. Now discuss how we can access elements through the document object model tree structure. We can access elements in document object model through some tree manipulation properties. We can use child nodes, parent nodes, next sibling, previous sibling, first child, or last child. The HTML document object model, event model. JavaScript can register event handlers. Events are fired by the browser and are sent to the specified JavaScript event handler function. Can be set with HTML attributes like img source is equal to test.gif on click image clicked. On click event image clicked function will be triggered. Can be accessed through DOM like variable image is equal to document dot get element by ID, and you can pass the ID of element, that is my image in this case, img dot on click, and it will invoke image clicked method. All event handlers receive one parameter. It brings information about the event, contains the type of the event, mouse click, key press, data about the location where the event has been fired, that is mouse coordinates, hold reference to the event sender, that is the button that was clicked, hold information about the state of Alt, Control, and Shift keys. Some browsers do not send this object but place it in the document.event. Some of the name of the events object properties are browser specific, and that is why it may behave differently in different browsers. Now let's discuss some mouse events and key events. These are the common document object model events. There is a long list of events we can use in JavaScript. Like mouse events are on click, on mouse down, on mouse up, on mouse over, on mouse out, and on mouse move. Key events are when you press a key, it will be on key press, on keys down when keys in the down state, or we have another event on key up status. But these events like key press, key down and key up can only be used for input fields where we can access the type of event we are discussing. Then we have interface events on blur, on focus, or on scroll event. Form events on change for input fields. If the state of the field is changed, then we can trigger on change. On submit, by clicking on submit button allows you to cancel a form submission. It is used for form validation. Miscellaneous events we have on load, on unload. When page loads, then we can uh, trigger an event. These type of events are only allowed for the body element. Fires when all content on the page was loaded or unloaded. Let's see an example of onload event. This is a script tag and we have a function definition that is greet. It shows an alert box with the message loaded on it. In the body section, we can define this event on load is equal to greet, and this is how we call a JavaScript method. It will call on load event. When your page will be loaded in the browser, it will show an alert box saying loaded. Next, we will discuss the built-in browser objects. There are no official standard for built-in browser object model. Since modern browsers have implemented almost the same methods and properties for JavaScript interactivity, it is often referred to as methods and properties of browser object model. Window. The window object is supported by all browsers. It represents the browser's window. All global JavaScript objects, functions, and variables automatically become member of the window object. Global variables are properties of the window object. Global functions are methods of the window object. Even the document object model of HTML document object model is a property of the window object. Like document holds information, the current loaded document. Screen holds the user's display properties and browser holds information about the browsers. This is the hierarchy. We have window, navigator, screen, document, history, and location. And in the document object, we have underlying form, and in the form, we have buttons. Windows.open. It will open a new window. Window.close. It will close the current window. Window.move to move the current window. Window.resize to resize the current window. So we can use these methods to open new window or resize them. The navigator object. The navigator object contains information about the browser. There is no public standard that applies to the navigator object, but all major browsers support it. The browser window, the navigator in the browser window, the user agent browser ID. It will show the information like Mozilla 4.0 compatible. The screen object contains information about the visitor screen or display. Screen object properties are available height, returns the height of the screen. Avail width returns the width of the screen excluding the window taskbar. And we can resize display size of our website according to the available width and height. We can resize our website height and width according to the user screen. Document object provides some built-in array of specific objects on the currently loaded web page, like document.link 0.hrefs yahoo.com. The window.location object can be used to get the current page address URL and to redirect the browser to a new page. The window.location object can be written without the window prefix. Document provides some built-in array of specific pages of the currently loaded web pages used to access the currently open URL or redirect the browser. Next, we have form validation example. In form validation, we can check the data which is sent by user to server. Like in this example, we have a function check form. We have a variable valid is equal to true if document.mainForm.firstName.value is equal to empty. Quotation marks without any data in it is an empty string. It will show alert, please type in your first name. Then we have another check, document.getElement by ID, first name error, style.display inline valid is equal to false and it will return valid. If this condition is true, valid is false. If this condition is false, if data is present and it's in correct order, then it will return valid and data will be posted. Here we have a form, main form. We are using the name of form in this method. On submit, return check form. It will call function check form, input type text name first name, and below here we have the designing of this form. The JavaScript math object allows you to perform mathematical tasks on numbers. Like we have built-in functions like math.round, math.random, math.pow, math.square root. We can use these built-in methods on numbers and we can process our data. The date object provides date calendar functions like if we want to show current date and time, we have built-in methods. Those can bring us current date and time and we can show these values accordingly on our website. Timers. We can use timers in JavaScript. They make something happen once after a fixed delay. We can set timeout bang after 5000 milliseconds. 5 seconds after this statement executes, this function is called. This is the bang is the function we have defined in JavaScript, and this will clear the or cancel the timer. Set interval, make something happen repeatedly at fixed interval. We can use this method in our image sliders or for any use. Like we have variable timer, set interval, clock is a function name, and interval is 1000 millisecond. This function is called continuously per 1 second. And if we want to stop this interval, we can use clear interval timer. This is the timer demo.html. It will show the example. We have different tools to debug JavaScript, like Firebug is a tool. We can use it for JavaScript debugging. Modern web browsers have JavaScript console where errors in scripts are reported. Errors may differ across browsers. Several tools to debug JavaScript, like Microsoft Script Editor, add-on for Internet Explorer, supports breakpoints, watches, JavaScript statement debugger, open the script editor, and Firefox add-on for debugging JavaScript, CSS, HTML. It supports breakpoints, watches, JavaScript console editor. It is very useful for CSS and HTML too. You can edit all the document real time. CSS, HTML. It shows how CSS rules apply to the element, show AJAX request and responses. This is the output of Firebug. JavaScript console object. The console object exists only if there is a debugging tool that supports it, used to write log messages at runtime. Methods of the console object are debug message, info message, log, warn, or error messages.